Okay, I am Dr. Ravi Kant Sharma. I am a Deputy Drugs Controller and I am looking after the licensing of the medical devices in the country. As of now, we are regulating only the limited number of the medical devices, 37 categories of the medical devices. But for the growth of the healthcare, we need to regulate all the medical devices, and the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare in this regard has published notification of the medical device definition. So whatever those medical devices which fall under the medical device definition, these will be under regulation. So there will be no burden of the manufacturer and the importers. So enough and adequate transition time has been given to the importers and the manufacturers. So for Class A and Class B medical devices, they will be under licensing regime from 1st of October 2022. So all manufacturers has to comply with the medical device rules, which is already implemented from 1st of January 2018. And the Class C and Class D medical devices which are not yet notified, these will be under regulation from 1st of October 2023. So this is the right time. How can we export more of the medical devices? Because more of the medical devices should come under the licensing regime to ensure the quality, safety and performance of the kids in the welfare of the patient safety in the country. Thank you.
Good afternoon to everyone. Technology Development Board, as part of the Department of Science and Technology, Ministry of Science and Technology, has been working tirelessly towards promoting medical sector, and in last 26 years plus, we've been able to support more than 100 companies in the medical sector, total amounting to more than 2,000 crores of total cost, with TDB support of more than 600 crores. And our endeavor is to try and support financially the corporate, the companies, the startups, young budding entrepreneurs which are working in the medical sector, and working towards commercialization of indigenous technology, as well as adopting technologies from foreign for wider domestic applications. And it would be good to see more and more young startups, entrepreneurs and companies involving themselves in infusing the latest research and development and latest technologies in medical sector, and approaching TDB DST for financial support from the government side. Thank you.
I am Himanshu Baid, the Managing Director, Polymedical Limited, and also Chair of CII Medical Technology Forum, National Forum. Today we have a big conference, annual conference, and here we are discussing about how we can push the growth of MedTech industry in India, and how India in next 25 years, by 2047, can be one of the leading players in this industry. Today we have a 70% import dependence, and how we can move away from import dependence to be a net exporter of medical devices from the country. So for that, I think government has given a lot of support by bringing out the PLI schemes, bringing out medical device parks, harmonizing the regulations, MedTech regulations in the country, planning to bring a new MedTech law, which will be probably be there by early next year. So a lot of new reforms have come up in the MedTech sector, but I think on the ground level we are missing some issues, like PLI for more new devices. That we are missing today implementation of the MedTech parks, because they've been announced long ago, but the implementation is kind of missing today. Then the vendors base in India is missing, the supplier base in India is missing for MedTech companies. Still we have to import a lot of raw material and parts and components from overseas countries. So all that needs to change, and I think if we can get a PLI even for our vendors, that will also help them to scale up manufacturing in the country and help manufacturing of MedTech products. Also, when we talk about regulations, I think India has to harmonize with the global GSTF framework or IMDRF framework, so that Indian companies, when they make products in India, they are globally recognized and we get immediate recognition in foreign markets where we are selling our products. Also, I think the RoDTEP scheme for exports is probably not enough. We only get 0.5% incentives, and even EOU SEZs are not getting those incentives. So if government increases that incentive to, let's say, 1.5 to 2%, I think that will make a huge change in our cost structure, and also help companies to invest this export incentive into R&D, which is not there in the country today. So even R&D is not being recognized today. So even our request to the government is, if they can bring out certain incentives for R&D, which the companies are doing, if certain patent fees can be shared by the government, which are filed abroad, even some industry academia partnership which can be funded by a government fund. I think that will all go a long way in promoting this industry to the next level.
So there are two things in my view which are required for the growth of any sector, and with reference to medical technology sector also they are relevant. First is market confidence, which means whether the economy is growing, whether capacity is growing, etc. So in this space we are doing fantastically. India is really happening, private sector and public sector capacity is getting added in hospitals. And the other is business confidence. What is the outlook of the businessman? How does he foresee things? Is he okay with the policies? Does he find them predictable, etc.? On this front also, there's a lot of movement towards predictable policies. So I feel that the medical technology sector is going to explode because of the two triggers, market confidence and business confidence.
Hi, my name is Sanjay Bhutani. I am Managing Director of Bosch India and also the co-chair for CII. With respect to what is required for growing the medtech industries, I think the government really needs to help the companies with putting it up a regulatory framework, so which is a bit long term. So lately we've been seeing there are ad hoc regulations coming in which kind of hampers the growth. So if there is a long or a roadmap provided by the government, that would be really helpful. So that's one. Secondly, I think also the incentives on the tax side. So if you look at countries like Ireland where the corporate taxes are quite low, so which would also help to maybe get multinational corporations to the country. And the lastly, I would say to create the local demand. So if the demand is there in the country, then you would see many players coming into the country. Thank you.
Hi, this is Ganesh Sabat, CEO of Sahajanand Medical Technologies, SMT. The growth factor that is required to grow medical device in India, I'll quote three factors. The first, we need a larger market and the government can play a bigger role in it. Ayushman Bharat is a very welcome step, and there are a lot of state governments have come also with their respective schemes. And I think these kind of schemes, or if the government can bring universal healthcare, will create a very large market, and that will help the medical device sector to grow. The second point, which is actually a little critical point, is while we will create a large market, the quality of medical device has to be the paramount factor. Today, what happens in India, we think US FDA is the quality parameter. Actually, if you talk about quality as the parameter, evidence-based medicine should be the factor to decide which product is of good quality or which product is not good quality. If we create US FDA as a factor, I suspect Indian medical device, which are really some very good companies who have come up in the recent past, is going to get sidelined. The third factor that will really help is to focus on innovation. Focusing on products that are targeted to Indian patients. There are multiple diseases that doesn't happen in the Western world, that happens in India. And we, Indian medical device company, need to work on to come up with innovation. And the regulatory framework need to address these kind of innovative products to create a pathway where we will be able to approve these products, regulate these products, and promote these products as high quality products. I believe these are the three factors that comes into my mind. Thanks a lot.
I'm Girish Krishnamurthy, CEO Managing Director, Tata Medical and Diagnostics Limited. So MedTech and overall MedTech industry, especially the IVD, is in the recent time taking a lot of traction from the India side. The industry, I would say we are in a very nascent stage. This next decade or so is going to be very critical for a very high growth in this industry. Mainly, the growth will be driven by a scientific innovation and technology. And India can become and seize this opportunity to become a global leader and can make India as the manufacturing destination for the global market in this industry. Even though there are certain specific sectors, it's been traditional like clinical chemistry, hematology and few of them, there are a lot of new innovation because of digital technology is coming into this space. And artificial intelligence will play a very, very key role. From Tata, the way we are looking at it is molecular diagnostics has a huge opportunity. Then comes immunology, and especially the new technology like fluorescent immunology has got a huge promising future. Of course, reimagining and reinventing close to patient model on clinical chemistry and hematology will be the future. Also bringing the overall diagnostics close to the patient will become the future mantra in India, as Government of India rolling out a huge mission on the digital health mission, which will open up a lot of access to the rural India. And as of now, traditionally, if you look at it last 30-40 years, most of the diagnoses were happening in the metros and the cities, and the rural will start ruling in the future. So in summary, the science and technology driven futuristic diagnostics is a most promising high growth industry for this decade.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Vidhur Mahajan. I serve as the Chief Executive Officer for Carpal.ai. I think to drive the growth of MedTech innovation, especially artificial intelligence based technologies in our country, we require a very strong digital backbone that connects all healthcare providers, all consumers of healthcare, all builders of technology on a single platform. We are trying to do that in our niche domain of medical imaging AI, where we are trying to create kind of this decentralized network of AI applications and healthcare providers. But I think a push has to come from all of us as the industry to essentially create this single digital backbone with seamless interface of technology between hospitals, layered analytics over it. And I think the government's National Digital Health Mission is a very tangible step in that direction. So very exciting times. It's probably the best time to be in MedTech innovation today in our country. So very excited. Thanks.
Good morning and welcome to this CII MedTech Summit. And one of the key topic today's summit is also the growth of in vitro diagnostic industry in India. In vitro diagnostics is going through several changes post COVID-19 pandemic. There are various tests which have been used during COVID-19, and we have seen that how COVID-19 pandemic has really given India the self-reliance. When you talk about in vitro diagnostics, 70% of the clinical decisions are based on the in vitro diagnostics. There are many tests, innovative tests which are coming, which helps the clinicians to take the decision. For example, meningitis, pneumonia. There are tests which are giving results in 1 hour. And in vitro diagnostics in India is going through several changes with a growth of 15 to 20%. And India would be one of the top 5 players in 2025. When you see in vitro diagnostics, we have got labs, clinical laboratories, hospitals, and the point of care testings. Now in vitro diagnostic is now going towards the physician office labs. There are tests which are having the artificial intelligence, which are giving the patients the power to diagnose at home. And in vitro diagnostics is also part of the medical devices which are going for a big jump in India. Thank you.
There are 3 fundamental challenges that we have on the MedTech and IVD. The first one is the market size of India. There is inadequate demand, especially for the population of a 1.3 billion that we have. The size of the market is pretty small. So one, clearly we need to look at how can we expand this market by doing a good demand generation from the consumers of healthcare. How can we increase the consumption of healthcare in India for the betterment of the society? The second fundamental challenge that we have is inadequate infrastructure or healthcare facilities, especially if we look at into context of urban and rural divide that is there. What is the kind of infrastructure and that is available in the urban side, versus what is available in the rural side. That needs to be bridged very clearly as well. And the third big thing that we need to address to make this MedTech and IVD grow is to look at how can we get more and more local manufacturing done in India. How can we really expand that market? How can we really expand what is happening in India from a Make in India perspective? Those are the three fundamental ways that we can really make MedTech and IVD grow.